Good evening and welcome to Fornelli Field here on the campus of St. Ignatius College Prep in Chicago, where tonight it's a Chicago Catholic League crossover game between the St. Joseph Chargers and the St. Ignatius Wolfpack. Hello, everybody. I'm Connor Klingen, and thank you for joining me tonight here on ArenaSportsNetChicago.com, where we are happy to bring you coverage of St. Joseph Chargers football all season long. Well, the Chargers come in off to an 0-2 start, a tough loss in Week 1 on the road at Elmwood Park, and last week at St. Lawrence in a thunderstorm-shortened game. This week, another tough road test in the form of the St. Ignatius Wolfpack. The last two seasons, though, these teams have battled in tight games. And St. Ignatius, keep in mind, folks, this is a team that has made the Class 6A playoffs the last 3 seasons. The Chargers in Class 2A 2 seasons ago when they made their first playoff appearance in program history. St. Ignatius now has been moved up to Class 7A as their enrollment is 1,400 students. Tonight's game being held here on the campus of St. Ignatius, where these teams played last season. The score of that one was 30-13, but much closer than the final. The Chargers trailed by just a touchdown going into the fourth quarter, but the Wolfpack were able to pull away at the end and come away with the victory. Speaking with head coach Adam Pollock last night before this game, he said, the last 2 years we've had a great chance to pull out the victory against St. Ignatius, just haven't been able to get over the hump. Tonight could be the night they do it, and if they can, it would be their first win of the season as the Chargers come in at 0-2. St. Ignatius, on the other hand, with a 2-0 record, and they have been dominant in their first 2 games. A 34-0 win in the opener against a school out of Hammond, Indiana, and last week a 33-0 romp on the road at Fenwick. Never an easy place to win, especially in a shutout. So the Wolfpack have yet to give up a point on the season. Could prove to be a tough challenge for this St. Joseph Charger offense. Chargers offense, of course, is led by senior quarterback Caleb Hayden. Caleb Hayden standing at 6'4", 210 pounds. Certainly has great running ability as well as the strong arm. The big addition for this Chargers team, wide receiver Mike Green, came out of the squad last week. In his first career game, he catches a touchdown pass. Of course, it didn't have a huge impact on the final result last week at St. Lawrence, but still a great moment for Mike Green. And he's somebody that head coach Adam Pollock wants to get much more involved in this offense. He sees him as a threat down the field with his speed. And, of course, if you're a Chargers basketball fan, you may remember that Mike Green is also on the team for Chargers basketball. So for St. Ignatius, as I mentioned, those 3 straight playoff appearances. Last year, first-year head coach Matt Miller led them to a 10-4 record. And after they lost in the IHSA playoffs, went on to the Prep Bowl as they had a chance in the Chicago Catholic League playoffs. They made it to the Prep Bowl final where they fell to Simeon. And from that team that made it to the Prep Bowl finals, Ignatius returned 7 starters on offense and defense, so a total of 14 returning starters for this Ignatius team, and clearly that experience has shown in the first 2 games with the combined score of 77-0. One of the key players, of course, being Giorgio Arquilla. Arquilla at 6'1", 225 pounds, plays both ways. Adam Pollock knows he's somebody that St. Ignatius wants to get the ball on that fullback dive. Ignatius runs that veer offense, a lot of shifting, pitches. It's going to be a challenge for this Charger defense to stay disciplined against this offense with all the motion that takes place. And we saw that in the first game against Elmwood Park. When they went to under center, the Chargers had more trouble. Any team that tries to air it out, that pass rush for the Chargers is so dangerous with Antonio Hardaway and also Malik Mason and Anthony Brown coming up the middle. Any team that tries to pass is going to have trouble creating the time for their quarterback necessary to go down the field. But where we saw the Chargers struggle defensively is defending that run and defending some of those more unique offenses with the pitches and motion. So what are the keys to a Charger victory tonight? Can they hit that big play? It's been elusive this season. We saw a lot of the offense last year created for the Chargers on those deep passes. But Coach Pollock looking more to run the ball this season. So can the Chargers create a crease, perhaps for running backs Trajan Timms or Amir Burgi, or also Caleb Hayden running the football? We've seen his ability to run it against Elmwood Park and St. Lawrence. But we also know with them going to more of the run, that could creep up the defense and create some deep shots downfield for receivers such as Mike Green, who was added to the team last year. Disciplined defense, the second key to a victory tonight for the Chargers. That veer offense, the Chargers have to know who their assignment is and stick with it, because if you get out of position, that could create a huge play for this Ignatius offense. And the third key to tonight's game is stamina. Both of these squads, smaller rosters, relatively speaking, but especially the Chargers, having to play a lot of players, 6 quarters that play both the JV and varsity game. And I should mention that the junior varsity game ran long tonight. That is the reason for our later kickoff. It is now 8:07 p.m. The clock on the scoreboard listing 6.5 minutes till kickoff here at Fornelli Field. And perhaps that could be blamed because of the traffic on the Eisenhower, as I know well, coming here from Westchester. But the Chargers find themselves with this game at St. Lawrence. It is the middle of a brutal 3-game stretch in the Chicago Catholic League. Last week at St. Lawrence, always one of the powers in Class 6A and the CCL as a whole. This week, Ignatius, never an easy game, a team that went 10-4 last year and is coming off 3 straight playoff appearances. And next week at Montini, one of the marquee names in the entire state of Illinois when it comes to high school football. You don't play much tougher of a schedule than that. Really, I don't think any team would trade their schedule for that 3-game stretch right there that the Chargers have, but that's what you get as a part of the Chicago Catholic League. Now, of course, the Chargers will get more games within their own division coming up after the game against Montini next week. But this challenge, it can be viewed as a positive. It's something that prepares the team for the rest of the season, and if they are going to make a run towards the playoffs, they're going to have to face teams with more talent, teams with more size, teams with a larger roster. And so perhaps a blessing in disguise for head coach Adam Pollock to prepare his team and also to have them ready to play in those 4 weeks following this 3-game stretch when they take on Leo DePaul, Chicago Christian, and Hope. And for the Chargers' playoffs hopes, you would think they're going to have to win all 4 of those games. But with the 0-2 record, cannot get too discouraged. Obviously, the first game at Elmwood Park was within the grasp of this St. Joseph team, and Elmwood Park just was able to come back and score in the final minutes to win it. But this Chargers team in the last couple of years has shown they have the ability to win. This program has gone in a new direction, and Adam Pollock, somebody who played for St. Joseph, a 2010 graduate of St. Joseph High School, he is confident that he can continue the momentum for this program and continue to add to the playoff appearances and create more history for this program after that first playoff appearance back in 2016. Of course, Caleb Hayden played back in that playoff game in 2016 as just a sophomore when the Chargers lost to Peru St. Bede. But this St. Ignatius game, a chance for the Chargers to prove themselves and really put themselves on the map. A win that would, to some people, be a surprise, but as Coach Pollock said last night, they have been right there with St. Ignatius the last 3 seasons, rather. And so the question is, can they pull it out tonight? And the key is perhaps hitting that big play watching the Chargers warm up now, you see they're putting Mike Green on the outside. They want to take shots downfield with him. His speed could be an X factor in this game, and Caleb Hayden has the arm to hit him as St. Ignatius takes the field here at Fornelli Field. It is homecoming for the St. Ignatius Wolfpack, and the Chargers may be able to use that as some motivation. Traditionally, the practice in high school football for homecoming is to schedule an opponent that you feel you have a guaranteed victory against. Well, St. Joe's can view that as some disrespect and use that as motivation in this game to get fired up early on in the ball game. You never want to be the homecoming opponent. You want to ruin homecoming for St. Ignatius, and the Chargers have a chance to do that here tonight. A full house here at Fornelli Field. The student section is rocking, and also the fans, parents. Great crowd on hand on a cool Friday night as it starts to feel a bit more like fall here in Chicago. Beautiful backdrop here at Fornelli Field. Just behind me, a view of the Chicago skyline, as we're on the west side of the city, just off of Taylor Street and Little Italy. Beyond my right shoulder, you can actually see the original Al's Beef, a Chicago institution, and St. Ignatius, also a Chicago institution. It has been around since 1870. And St. Ignatius, one of the original members of the Chicago Catholic League back in 1912 when the league started. The Chargers, before joining the Chicago Catholic League back in 2015, were members of the East Suburban Catholic Conference. But they have adjusted well to joining the Chicago Catholic League back in 2016. They were the champions of the CCL Red Division and made their first playoff appearance in school history as members of the Chicago Catholic League. As now we will have the pregame prayer.
Charger fans and Wolfpack fans, let us join together.
Good evening. I ask that you please stand and join me in prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. God of grace, thank you for this beautiful evening. Thank you for the young men who are about to play football and the many gifts they bring our school both on and off the field. Thank you for the amazing community that we have here at St. Ignatius and for the amazing community that we share together in Catholic schools, for the young men and the families who are here from St. Joe's, for the many parents and family members who are here to support our student athletes, and for the coaches and their efforts with these young men. We ask that they feel your sense and your presence with them as they play on the field, that you keep them safe, and that you remind us all that all we do is for you. In God's name we pray, amen. St. Ignatius, St. Joseph, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Go Pack.
Thank you, Principal Echo. Please remain standing, and gentlemen, remove your hats as we join tonight in singing of the national anthem by St. Ignatius student Evelyn Mulcrone.
A riveting rendition of the Star Spangled Banner there by a St. Ignatius student. And we are about ready to play some football here in Chicago. As I mentioned, a delayed start to tonight's game due to the junior varsity game running later than expected. And St. Ignatius will return the opening kickoff back deep for the Wolfpack. Declan Callahan along with Campbell Callum. So the Chargers will kick off here. St. Ignatius, not a very big squad, only 26 players on the roster, and as much of a challenge as it is for St. Joseph with a small roster, St. Ignatius playing up in Class 7A now with only 26 players. Certainly very difficult, and stamina will be key tonight. Thankfully for both of these teams, it is a cool night. So not the usual worries as much so with the cramps and humidity that you often have early on in the season. The Chargers will kick off. And Angel Camacho is the man who will kick it for St. Joe's.
On the kick for the Chargers, 55, Anthony Brown. Back kick and receive for the Wolfpack. Number 2, Cam Callum, and number 33, Declan Callahan.
Callahan and Callum deep for the Wolfpack. Here is Camacho lining up for the kick. It's a low line drive, takes a bounce at the 25. It's picked up by Callum. Callum has some room at the 40. He's at the 50 on the near sideline to the 40, 30. He's on the sideline, brought down at the 25. What a return by Callum. Takes it 50 yards from his own 25 to the 25 of the Chargers, and St. Ignatius will start with outstanding field position.
50 yards on the return by number 2, Cam Callum. Wolfpack begin their drive tonight.
An excellent job of blocking there by St. Ignatius, and plenty of room for Callum to make his way down the sideline. Richard Ponce lines up under center. That veer formation with 2 wingbacks and 1 fullback just behind Ponce. They send a man in motion. Ponce gives right up the middle on the dive, and the Wolfpack able to pick up a few there. It was Joe Loftus on the carry. And they're going to give him 6 yards, so quite a push there on that fullback dive. St. Ignatius already at the 19-yard line, just over 30 seconds into this ball game after the long return by Callum. Ponce under center once again. The 2 wingbacks, couple of tight ends, and the fullback behind him, 1 wide receiver to each side. They give on the pitch out to Callum. He splits it out to the right side. He may lose yardage here, and he indeed does. Maybe got back to the line of scrimmage.
Good for 2.
They'll actually give him some positive yardage there on the far side of the field. So it'll be 3rd down and 2 to go, rather 3 for St. Ignatius. 10:45 to play in the first quarter. No score here. First possession of the ball game for the Wolfpack. Potts steps under center once again. Loftus, the man behind him in the backfield, with Callum to his left as a wingback. Ponce takes the snap, gives up the middle for Loftus. He has enough for the first down and a few more as well, maybe inside the 10. So the Wolfpack getting a good push up the middle here early on in the ball game, as they now find themselves inside the 10-yard line. Ball is spotted at the 9, 1st and goal. Ponce back under center. Takes the snap. Gives right up the middle for Loftus. And he picks up a couple, maybe just one there.
Tackle by 52, Okigami.
So 2nd and goal from the 8.
2nd and goal from the 8 for the Wolfpack.
9:10 to play here in the first quarter. On the opening drive of the game that started from the 25-yard line of St. Joe's for Ignatius. Ponce gives for Loftus up the middle. He is stopped at about the 3-yard line.
Loftus up the middle for 2.
Rather make that the 4. So it'll be 3rd and goal from the 4. Big moment here for the Charger defense. Can they stand up? Will this be 2-down territory for Ignatius? Ponce back up under center with Loftus behind him at the fullback spot. They give up the middle for Loftus. He is stood up short of the goal line. So it'll be 4th and goal from about the 1-yard line. And here is a decision now for head coach Matt Miller and offensive line coach Mike Miller. From the 1-yard line, and St. Ignatius will go for it. So a big moment here early with 8 minutes to play in the first quarter. Do they go with the fullback dive again? That's what's been their bread and butter the whole drive. Ponce gives up the middle, and Loftus is in for the touchdown from 1 yard out. So St. Ignatius takes a 6-0 lead with 7:43 to play. And Loftus was the man they were giving it to the entire drive, and he puts the Wolfpack on the board. But give credit to the Chargers defense, standing up there, forcing a 4th and goal. Here's the extra point attempt, up and good. Drilled straight through by Zach Allen. So it'll be 7-0 with 7:43 to play. So the Wolfpack start with outstanding field position, and they take full advantage, getting on the board with an early 7-0 lead, but the Chargers offense will have the ball and a chance to strike back here. Inigo Karan will kick off for St. Ignatius. Back deep for the Chargers is Amir Berge and Javante Bright.
Number 1, Bright, and number 2, Berge, back deep for the Chargers.
Karan kicking off from the 40 with 7:43 to play. 7-0, St. Ignatius. Can the Chargers strike back with a big kickoff return of their own? Here's Karan's kick. It's a low squib kick. Picked up by Amir. No, it goes through the legs of Amir Berge. So Javante Bright picks it up. He has some room, but he is brought down right near his own 35-yard line.
Right on the return, number 53, Jack Coolidge on the tackle. Chargers begin their drive on their own 34.
So the Chargers will start on their own 34-yard line. Caleb Hayden, the senior quarterback, dual threat ability. The star on this defense for St. Ignatius, Giorgio Arquilla, at the linebacker spot, 6'1", 225 pounds. As Hayden's in the shotgun. 4 wide receivers split out for the Chargers. Trajan Timms in the backfield. Burgee comes in motion. They give it on a pitch to him, and Burgee has a nice little seam, and he nearly picked up first down yardage, but a flag is thrown. This could be holding. We'll see the call. It is indeed holding, and that will push the Chargers back 10 yards here on first down. It was called at the spot of the foul, so the ball is brought back to the 29-yard line.
First and 14 for the Chargers from their own 31.
Hayden fakes, now pitches to Burgee, and he maybe loses a couple of yards there.
Pitch to Burgee, loss of 2.
So it'll now be first down, or rather second down and 17 for the Chargers. Just under 7 minutes to play first quarter, 7-0 Ignatius. This is the first offensive possession for St. Joe's. Hayden is in the shotgun. Couple of tight ends, couple of backs out there, just one wide receiver to the left. Hayden hands for Timms, and he lost his footing almost immediately and goes down in the backfield. So it'll be third and very long here for the Chargers. First down marker at their own 49-yard line. Ball is spotted at the 25, so third down and 24. Hayden in the shotgun. One receiver to his right, 2 to the left. Tight end Mekhi Eland in there. Timms in the backfield with Hayden. He takes the snap, looking to pass. Fires for Eland. Eland makes a man miss, and he is brought down at about the 30-yard line after a 5-yard reception. So it'll be fourth and long here. Chargers are going to be forced to punt early on. Last week, early in the ballgame against St. Lawrence, head coach Adam Pollock called a fake punt in his own territory. Not sure he would try doing it here, as Hayden is the man who punts it, though, so he is dangerous. And Hayden will punt it. It is a short punt. May have been partially blocked, and this is actually going to end up going backwards. So once again, St. Ignatius with tremendous starting field position at the 25-yard line of the Chargers. They started their last drive there as well and turned it into 7 points. My apologies. The ball is actually at the 20-yard line, so even better field position, as that punt did indeed bounce backwards as Ponce is under center here for the Wolfpack. He fakes to Loftus, pitches out to Callum, and Callum's able to pick up about 7 yards.
Good for 4 yards.
It's actually a gain of about 4 rather than 7. My apologies. They are on the far sideline here, and my view is a little bit lower than typical, as Ponce is under center here on second down and 5. Ponce takes the snap, fakes. Now he'll take it himself, and he has just enough for the first down. Ponce, the junior quarterback, starting for the first time this season.
First and goal at the 9-yard line.
So first and goal at the 9. This was the same situation the Wolfpack had on their first drive. Ended up having to go for it on 4th and goal from the 1, but brought it in the end zone with Loftus. Ponce looking for the signal from the sideline. And penalty flags fly. So this may be delay of game here. And indeed it is. Delay of game called on St. Ignatius. That will push them back 5 yards to the 14-yard line of the Chargers. 7-0 St. Ignatius with 3:51 to play here as the Wolfpack have their second possession of this game. So first and goal from the 14-yard line. Ponce pitches out for Callum, and he is going to be brought down in the backfield by a host of Chargers defenders.
Pitch to number 6, Aiden Casey. Tackle by number 5, Tim Shannon.
Looked like Tim Shannon was the first one in there for St. Joe's. And they have pushed Ignatius all the way back to the 20-yard line. A loss of 6. And it's second and goal, but 20 yards to go to that goal line. And for an offense like St. Ignatius that picks up 4, 5, 6 yards at a time, this is exactly the situation you want to get them in, force them to throw the football as Ponce's under center. Ponce drops back to pass to the right side, throws right for Callum. He makes the catch inside the 10-yard line, pushing his way closer to that goal line and near the 5.
Pass is complete to Cam Callum.
So it'll be third and goal from the 6 on the right hash. After the catch by Callum for 14 yards, the first completed pass for Ignatius.
Third and goal on the 5.
Third and goal, 5 to go here. Ponce under center. And they bring in Giorgio Arquilla at fullback with his size at 225 pounds. But before they can call the next play, timeout is taken by St. Joseph head coach Adam Pollock.
Timeout, St. Joe.
2:19 to play here in the first quarter. 7-0 St. Ignatius, and they face third and goal from the 5-yard line on their first drive. Went for it on 4th down from the 1-yard line. Were able to push it in with Joe Loftus. And it looked like here they were going to bring in Arquilla, the big back, to try to power his way into the end zone, and that may have prompted the timeout by Adam Pollock and defensive coordinator Taywon Brown for St. Joe's.
Now's a good time to tell your friends and family. Tonight's game
And the Chargers showed up well
on YouTube.
on the last drive
Network YouTube channel.
with the Wolfpack having first and goal from the 9. The Chargers were able to force that 4th down, but just couldn't make that final stop. Ponce will go under center. Arquilla behind him at the fullback spot. A couple of wingbacks out there as well, and Callum and Loftus. Ponce takes the snap. They're going to pitch it out wide to the left side. Plenty of room there, and weaving his way into the end zone was Aiden Casey. And Casey gives the Wolfpack a 13-0 lead with 2:12 to play in the first. Well, with Arquilla coming into the game, the Chargers thought that St. Ignatius, everybody in the stadium thought that the Wolfpack were going to give the ball right up the middle to Arquilla, but instead They go with the pitch out wide to the left, and Aiden Casey extends the lead for Ignatius. The extra point is up and good as Zach Allen hits the second extra point to make it 14-0 with 2:12 to play in the first. So the Chargers find themselves in an early hole here, the main culprit being the field position battle is widely in favor of St. Ignatius. They took the opening kickoff from their own 25 to the Charger 25, then forced a 3-and-out. The punt went backwards, so St. Ignatius started at the 20. They have started both possessions well into Charger territory and converted both into scores.
Number 4, Inigo Curran on the kickoff for the Wolfpack. Back kick to receive for the Chargers, number 12.
Inigo Curran on to kickoff for Ignatius. And Javante Bright and Amir Berge deep for the Chargers. Can they create some magic in the return game? Here's Curran's kick. It is low and squibbed. Picked up by one of the upbacks for the Chargers. Looked like it was Malik Williams who took that, and he picked up a couple of yards. So the Chargers will have decent field position here. They're going to start at their own 43. And at the very least, they need to move the ball here into Ignatius territory and force the Wolfpack back. But hopefully the Chargers are able to cut this deficit in half, trailing 14-0 with 2:07 to play in the first quarter. Hayden in the shotgun, 2 wide receivers to his right. 1 back behind him in the backfield is Trajan Timms. They send Berge in motion, fake it, and now Hayden's going to run with it himself, but he is brought down for a loss at the 35-yard line. So a loss of, the 40-yard line. So a loss of 3 there on first down.
Loss of 4 on the play.
Nose of the football is on the 40-yard line. So the Chargers at their own 40 face a 2nd down and 13.
2nd and 14 from their own 40.
Hayden in the shotgun, 3 wide receivers to his right. Pickett, Eland, and Berge, those 3 wide receivers. 1 to the left. Trajan Timms in the backfield. Hayden throws over the middle for Berge. Passes a bit high, but it's caught at the 46-yard line of St. Joseph. So a gain of 6 yards. So it'll be 3rd and 7. So certainly manageable here for the Chargers.
Good for 8 yards, brings up 3rd and 5.
Rather, it's 3rd down and 5 as they gave him a couple extra yards there to the 48-yard line. So 3rd and manageable here for the Chargers. And they are near Ignatius territory. Hayden in the shotgun. Couple of tight ends in there for the Chargers. 1 wide receiver split to each side. Hayden takes the snap, facing some pressure. Throws over the middle. It's intercepted by St. Ignatius, and taking it the other way is Declan Callahan on the right sideline all the way into the end zone for a pick 6 to make it 20-0 with 18 seconds to play in the first quarter. Well, Hayden was looking over the middle, but that ball was right into the hands of Declan Callahan to make it 20-0 St. Ignatius. Curran is on to kick the extra point. And it is up and no good. So the score will remain 20-0 with 18 seconds to play in the first.
With 18 seconds left in the first quarter, the Wolfpack 20, the Chargers 0.
So the score 20-0 here in the first quarter. 18 seconds left in this opening stanza. The 55-yard interception return from Declan Callahan. Amir Burgi and Javante Bright back deep for the Chargers. And on to kickoff again is Inigo Curran.
Number 4, Curran on the kickoff. Back deep for the Chargers. Number 12, Justin Freeman. Number 2, Amir Burgi.
Curran with a low squib kick. Again taken by Malik Williams. Williams brings it near the 45-yard line of the Chargers. So that's where St. Joe's will start, and the Ignatius defense back onto the field. Obviously, as an offense, you never want to allow your opponent to score a defensive touchdown, but there is one positive thing about that, is that the defense could be a little bit more tired than they would be otherwise coming out onto the field after their offense had the ball. Hayden is in the shotgun, a back to each side with Timms to his right, Burgi to his left. They fake the handoff to Timms. Now speed option. Pitch out to Burgi on the left side. Burgi trying to weave and spin his way forward. And he maybe got back to the line of scrimmage, and that will do it for the first quarter. And at the end of one, the score is St. Ignatius 20 and St. Joseph 0. So on the season thus far for St. Ignatius, in 9 quarters of football, they have outscored their opponents 97-0. So the Chargers are not alone in facing a big deficit here to St. Ignatius, but still plenty of ball game left. And with the athletes on this St. Joseph team, especially on the outside, with players like Makai Eland and Mike Green, there's still a chance for the Chargers to strike quickly. This offense has shown the ability to do that. And that's all they need, is just one big play to get right back into this ball game, and then finally put St. Ignatius in bad field position, or at least average field position. The Wolfpack started their first 2 drives at the 25 and 20 respectively, and then had the interception return for a touchdown, 55 yards. Chargers moving from right to left now. Hayden in the shotgun. Takes the snap. Looking to pass. Facing pressure. Steps up. Throws for Burgi on the near sideline. Just over his outstretched hand and incomplete. It'll be 3rd and 10 for the Chargers at their own 44.
Third and 10 on the Charger 44.
Hayden lines up in the shotgun formation. 2 wide receivers to his left. 1 to the right. And a tight end in the formation for the Chargers. Hayden takes the snap. Facing pressure. Throws over the middle. It's intercepted again. Again, it's intercepted by St. Ignatius. And this time it is Aiden Ume that is moving all the way to the 10-yard line. Aiden Wimet takes the interception near the 10-yard line to the 11. Nothing going right for the Chargers here early on. So once again, tremendous starting field position for Ignatius. They are at the 11-yard line of the Chargers with 11:37 to play in the second quarter, already leading it 20-0. Ponce under center now. Gives to Loftus up the middle on the right side. Loftus into the end zone for a touchdown. That will make it 26-0. With 11:32 to play, and Loftus scores his second touchdown.
Number 33 on to kick the extra point. Correction, number 4 on to kick the extra point.
Inigo Karan will kick the extra point for St. Ignatius. It is up, and it is good. That will make it 27-0 with 11:32 to play in this first half. And just like nothing is going well for St. Joe's right now, all of my rosters just blew away here. One moment. So once again, the Chargers find themselves in a big hole here. As I said earlier, a brutal 3-game stretch for St. Joseph. Having to play at St. Lawrence last week, this week at St. Ignatius, and next week at Montini. Inigo Karan will kick it off.
Number 12, Justin Freeman back deep for the Chargers.
Freeman and Burgee back for St. Joe's. Karan's kick is a low line drive. It's picked up by Freeman inside his 10-yard line, up the right sideline. Spinning his way at the 30, broke a tackle out to the 35. Late flag comes in.
Out to the 35.
And really hoping here that Justin Freeman is doing all right. He is down at the 35-yard line. 11:24 to play in the second quarter. 27-0 is the score, but right now really hoping everything is all right on the field with Justin Freeman down at the 35-yard line. And the training staff now for St. Ignatius coming to his assistance as well. Just always hate to see things like this. And they are now bringing out a stretcher out onto the field. Certainly always a scary moment to see the stretcher out on the field. And the Chargers now bringing their team together. You could hear a pin drop here, folks, as the crowd here, everybody's thoughts and prayers are with the young man injured out on the field. As I said, we do believe that it is Justin Freeman who was injured here, and they are going to attempt to put him on a stretcher. Always a difficult moment to see something like this, and both teams kneeling. Head coach Adam Pollock out there for his player. Again, if you're just joining us, Justin Freeman, at least we believe to be Justin Freeman, down on the field at about the 35-yard line. Obviously don't want to speculate anything about what this injury could be, but they do have a stretcher out on the field. And they will be perhaps attempting to put him on that stretcher. I do see that they have been able to remove his pads at this point, his shoulder pads. And staff of trainers for St. Joseph and St. Ignatius gathered around. So obviously hoping and praying for the best. I'd never like to see something like this. It's just really it's a scary sight. You can't put it any other way to see somebody down on the field for as long as. Again, I don't want to say for certain. I believe it was Justin Freeman was in a bit of a crowd, but it looked to me like it was number 12, Justin Freeman, who was down on the field. Everybody here essentially in silence as it is just as I said, a scary moment to see somebody be down on the field for this amount of time. And for anything with the score or anything having to do with this game, it really doesn't matter at this point. We're all just hoping that this Chargers player who is down can, hopefully this injury is not as serious as it may look right now. And they are picking him up on the stretcher. And the entire Chargers team going to their teammate to wish him well. As I said, a very scary moment here at St. Ignatius. As they will carry him out on a stretcher.
Number 12 is the injured player for the
Justin Freeman.
You are in our prayers tonight. We'll keep you posted if we hear anything.
So, as the public address announcer just said here at Fornelli Field, all of our prayers tonight with Justin Freeman for St. Joseph as he leaves the field on a stretcher. And again, as I said,
Penalized for a personal foul by rule. He has been disqualified.
And the penalty on the play, which now seems so inconsequential, there was a personal foul on that play. And St. Ignatius player Jack Coolidge ejected from the game for that personal foul. So again, Justin Freeman in all of our thoughts and prayers tonight as he leaves the field on a stretcher, hoping everything goes the best for him as the game restarts now. And Caleb Hayden will be in the shotgun formation past the 50-yard line. He hands to Burgee on the right side. Bergie is able to get maybe back to the line of scrimmage at midfield. To reset the game here for you, the score is 27-0 St. Ignatius with 11 minutes to play in the second quarter. The Wolfpack, on their first two offensive possessions, started with the football on the 25 and then the 20. Were able to turn both into touchdowns. Then returned an interception for a touchdown. That was Declan Callahan. Another interception by Aiden Ouimet brought the ball to the 10, and Ignatius was able to score again. Here is Hayden stepping up in the pocket, spinning his way, but he will still be sacked at his own 48-yard line. And Arkilla makes the sack for Ignatius. So 3rd down and 13 for the Chargers on their own 47-yard line. Caleb Hayden in the shotgun. 3 wide receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Hayden rolling out to his right, facing some pressure. He's going to try to run for this. Makes a move to cut back inside, but he is still short of the first down marker by about 5 yards. So it'll be 4th down for the Chargers in Ignatius territory at the 45-yard line of the Wolfpack, and they will go for it here, trailing by 27 with 9:20 to play in the first half. Hayden takes the snap. Rolling to his right, looking for a man downfield. Was trying to find Mike Green, but it's just over his head and incomplete. And that will be a turnover on downs. So St. Ignatius will have the football back, leading 27-0 with 8:51 to play in the first half. So the Wolfpack will start on their own 45-yard line. 1st and 10. And immediately a penalty flag is thrown. Legal substitution on St. Joseph. 5-yard penalty will move it forward for St. Ignatius. The nose of the football is right at midfield as Ponce is under center. Couple of wingbacks in there, and Loftus, the fullback for Ignatius. Ponce takes the snap, back to pass. Looking deep, he is sacked. And the ball popped loose, but it was recovered by St. Ignatius. Anthony Brown got in there to make the sack and force the fumble. And a 5-yard loss. It'll be 2nd and 10 for Ignatius. That's the question, is can St. Joseph force Ignatius to pass, because then that pass rush for the Chargers can be very problematic. Ponce will go under center yet again. Ponce gives on the fullback dive right up the middle. Gain of maybe 3 yards there. So the 3rd down and 7. Ignatius needs to make it to the 45-yard line of the Chargers. And they are at their own 48. Ponce goes under center. Arquilla, the fullback behind him, penalty flags fly.
Flag on the Wolfpack, delay of game.
And delay of game is called. That's the second delay of game that has been called on St. Ignatius early on in this one. 7:07 to play, 27-0. And it will now be 3rd and 12 for Ignatius. And this is a situation that makes this Veer offense very uncomfortable. Not the type of offense where they're going to look to throw the ball quite a bit. And Ponce is still going to start out under center here with Arquilla behind him in the backfield. Ponce drops back to pass. Looking over to his left, finds a man at the 45-yard line. Is that enough for the first down? Indeed it is, as Aiden Boyle made the catch right at the first down marker. And actually, they'll spot the ball at the 44-yard line of the Chargers. So 1st and 10 with 6.5 minutes to play in the first half. And St. Ignatius already with a 27-0 lead on a drive. Ponce under center. Takes the snap. Gives up the middle for Loftus. Or rather Arquilla. He picks up about 5 yards there to the 39-yard line of the Chargers. Arquilla at 225. They like to put him in at the fullback spot and give it to him right up the middle to pound it up the gut. Ponce under center. Gives for Arquilla. Arquilla at the 30 to the 20 on the right sideline. Stiff arms a man, but he's brought down at the 10 by Amir Burgi, eventually making the tackle. You got to give some credit to Amir Burgi. Arquilla at 225 pounds. Amir Burgi is listed at 155, but perhaps that's a little bit generous there. Amir Burgi standing maybe in the 140s, brings down the 225-pound Giorgio Arquilla, but not before he makes his way all the way to the 10-yard line of the Chargers. Ponce under center. Takes the snap. Gives up the middle for Arquilla.
Arquilla. For 1.
Just 1 yard there.
Stop by number 8, Clarence Patton.
To the 9-yard line. So 2nd and goal, or rather, 2nd and 8. No, 2nd and 7 from the 8-yard line. Ignatius can pick up a first down at the 1. Ponce takes the snap. Play action fake, tries to pitch out to the left and slammed down in the backfield. It was Makai Eland who made the tackle as Casey was brought down for a loss at about the 15-yard line, a loss of 7 yards.
Third and 14 from the 15-yard line.
So it'll be 3rd down and 14 from the 15-yard line with just over 4 minutes to play in the first half. 27-0, St. Ignatius. Ponce under center. 2 wing backs. Play action fake. Wide open over the middle, but deflecting the pass is Amir Burgi. He made 2 big plays on this drive, and a flag is down. And a little bit of pushing and shoving going on And another flag comes out. Call is holding on the Chargers and then unsportsmanlike conduct in addition to that. And that will be an automatic first down for St. Ignatius. So after it looked like the Chargers would come up with a stop, the couple of penalties give the Wolfpack a first down. And it will put the football inside the 5-yard line at the 4 for Ignatius. 3:48 to play, first half, 27-0 Wolfpack.
3rd and 3 from the 4-yard line for the Wolfpack.
They give up the middle for Loftus, or rather Arkilla, right up the middle for a touchdown to make it 33-0. St. Ignatius. With 3:43 to play. Inigo Curran will kick the extra point. It is up, and it is good to make it 34-0. St. Ignatius with 3:43 to play in the first half. If you're just joining us, it's been a tough night for the Chargers. The score is one thing, but all of our thoughts and prayers are with Justin Freeman, who was taken off the field in a stretcher earlier in this second quarter. So certainly thinking quite a bit about Justin Freeman, hoping everything is all right with him.
On the kickoff for the Wolfpack, number 4, Inigo Curran. And backstage for the Chargers, number 1, Javante Drake. And number 2, Amir Berge.
Inigo Curran will kick off for Ignatius. Curran's kick is squibbed, and it is handled at about the 20-yard line by Amir Berge. Berge has space up the middle, and he is brought down just short the 45-yard line for the Chargers. Player down for the Chargers at around the 30-yard line.
The Chargers will begin their drive on their own 43.
Can't quite tell at this juncture who the injured player is for the Charger, but the good news is he is up on his feet. He's crouching right now. It looks like it might be Javante Bright. Can't tell for sure. It is Javante Bright, and he will walk to the sidelines under his own power. So that is good to see, especially after the scary sight earlier with Justin Freeman being taken off the field on a stretcher. 3:35 to play here in the first half. It is 34-0, St. Ignatius. And now it looks like some sort of uniform malfunction for the player on the Wolfpack, or I'm not sure if it was a uniform issue or an injury, but regardless, Campbell Callum will head to the sidelines. First, and another stoppage here as St. Ignatius calls a timeout with 3:35 to play in the first half, leading it 34-0. .335 left in this first half, and game that has been controlled by the Wolfpack on their home field. But again, tonight, not as concerned with the result of this game or the score, but rather just hoping for the best for Justin Freeman. And we're all thinking about Justin right now. So following the timeout, it will be 1st and 10 Chargers at their own 43. Caleb Hayden in the shotgun. 3 wide receivers to his right, 1 to the left. And immediately whistles blow, telling a St. Ignatius player he has to come off the field. Is this another uniform issue? A shoulder pad came loose, and so he looked like it was Charlie, or rather Mafalari and Walter Johnson had to come off the field. The pitch to Burgee on the right side. Burgee to the sideline. Burgee has some room. Burgee's at the 40. He's brought down inside the 35. So a little spark for the St. Joseph offense with the pitch to Amir Burgee. 1st and 10 Chargers.
Number 29, Shaz Matthew on the stop.
Ball will be spotted at the 32-yard line of St. Ignatius. This is the furthest the Chargers have made it into Wolfpack territory. 3 wide receivers to the left of Hayden, 1 to the right. Hayden will pitch to Burgee on the left side. Burgee trying to cut his way. A flag was thrown early on this play.
Stopped in the backfield by number 50, Jake Miles.
We'll see what this flag is for. Looks like an illegal procedure called against the Chargers. So that will push them back.
Decline.
The penalty was declined after Burgee lost a couple of yards. So it'll be 2nd down and 12 for the Chargers. Burgee in the shotgun. 1 receiver to his left, 3 to the right. They go with a quick screen pass out to Mekhi Eland. Eland catches it at the 40 and is able to get back to the original line of scrimmage. They're saying fumble. St. Ignatius is saying they have the ball. The official is saying that Mekhi Elam was down. So it'll be 3rd and 10. 2.5 minutes to play here in the first half. 34-0, St. Ignatius with the lead.
Brings up 3rd and 11 from the Chargers. From the Wolfpack, 34.
So 3rd and 11 from the 34-yard line of St. Ignatius for the Chargers. Looking for their first points of this ball game. Hayden in the shotgun. Throws left for Pickett, and that is short and incomplete. So it'll be 4th and 11 from the 34. And in this position, the Chargers essentially are left with no choice but to go for it. Really too far into Ignatius territory to punt, and also too deep to kick a field goal. Timeout will be called by the Chargers head coach Adam Pollock. Try to draw something up here on 4th down and 11 from the 34 to convert. We'll see what they can do in this situation. So again, 34-0 the score, 1:56 to play in the first half. Chargers facing a 4th down and 11 from the 34-yard line of St. Ignatius. Hayden in the shotgun formation, 4 wide receivers split out there. Trajan Timms along with Hayden in the backfield. Hayden takes the snap. Looking over the middle. It's intercepted again by Callahan. Declan Callahan, who already has 1 interception returned for a touchdown, is down the left sideline all the way to the 40-yard line of the Chargers. That is the 3rd interception of the night for the St. Ignatius defense. But a flag is down. We'll see what the call is here. Could be holding on the return to bring it back, as it looks like the Wolfpack are heading that way. Illegal block in the back. So that will push the football back here. So St. Ignatius will start at their own 30-yard line with 1:44 to play in the half.
Block in the back is the call on the Wolfpack. It'll be 1st and 10 on their own 30.
1st and 10 from the 30 for St. Ignatius, leading it 34-0. Ponce is under center. Looked like a Chargers player may have jumped, or it could have forced a jump from Ignatius. We'll see what the call is here. They're going to say encroachment. That'll move the ball up 5 yards to the 35-yard line of St. Ignatius. So 1st down and 5 for the Wolfpack. Ponce will go under center. Takes the snap. Back to pass. Rolling to his left. And trying to get it to Callum. And it just hits his hand and goes out of bounds.
Number 4, Brandon Pickett on the coverage.
Nice coverage there by Brandon Pickett for the Chargers. 2nd down and 5.
Second and 5 on the 35 of the Wolfpack.
Ponce under center once again. Ponce gives up the middle. And close to a first down is looked like it was Loftus on that carry. 3rd and 1 with 1:15 to play in the half.
3rd and 1.
Ignatius at their own 40-yard line. Ponce looked like he fumbled the snap, and he's brought down very quickly. So it'll be 4th down and 6 from the 35 for St. Ignatius with 45 seconds to play in the half. And we'll see. They should bring out the punting team here. Looks like they indeed will do that. Mir Burgee is back deep to return the punt. And Curran is on to punt it. With the score 34-0 with 20 seconds left in the half. Curran with a high kick. Burgee will let it take a bounce at about the 30-yard line, and St. Ignatius will just down this one at the 28 with 5 seconds left in the first half. So the Chargers will have just 5 seconds here from their own 28-yard line. So it'll be 1st and 10 Chargers. And a flag is down. Personal foul called against both teams, offsetting penalties. And the officials waiting for a football here to come from the St. Joseph sideline. And they finally do get one. Five and a half seconds left in the half. We'll see what the Chargers try to do. From their own 28, Hayden takes the snap, looking to pass, steps up in the pocket, going to chuck it deep downfield, and it's intercepted by St. Ignatius and brought down quickly as Aiden Casey. That will do it for the half, and at the end of 1.5, the score, the St. Ignatius Wolfpack 34 and the St. Joseph Chargers 0. We will be back with second half coverage right here on arenasportsnetchicago.com, where we will bring you St. Joseph Chargers football all season long. So come back with us at about 9:50 p.m. for second half coverage.